TEDxWhitsundayAnglicanSchool Mokai, which I actually think is probably the longest TEDx name in the world, and if it is, then we need to grab hold of that and actually really champion that and let everybody know that this is it. This is the benchmark now. So I'm big into innovation, and I've won a number of awards. I'm one of the inaugural Innovators of Influence for Australia, and I've won a number of Tasman Business Awards and various other Women in Science Awards, both internally, internationally, externally. But last year for me was all about prizes, this year for me is all about projects. Today I wanted to talk to you about something called innovation. So innovation has become one of these new hashtags, like the new buzzwords, right? Like ideas boom, innovation, disrupt, change up. And so I thought, right, okay, I'm going to do a TED talk about the thing that I kind of believe in, which is how to shake things up, how to break the system, how to buck the system, how to change it. So the first thing I did was go to Wikipedia and Google, and I had a quick look to see what the word innovation actually means. And I was desperately disappointed with the results that I found. On Wikipedia, when you put in the word innovation, you get a little sentence at the top that says, innovation is a thing where you change things for the better, or something new goes to market, or a new idea gets turned into a product. List of innovators. Every single person on that list, bar one, was a white man. So I thought, right, okay, Wikipedia, I'll give you a second chance. List of female innovators. This does not exist. Would you like to create this? Now, I'm quite a busy person, so if anyone here in this room wants to start the Wikipedia list of female innovators, it's there for you. Just go and create. Okay? And so I was like, well, this isn't really cutting the mustard, quite frankly. What is an innovator? And so I thought, well, to innovate is to be human. It's in our DNA. It's the thing that made us pick up sticks when we walked out of the cave and start making fire. It's the thing that made us crawl out of the pond in the first place. Innovation is a kind of time. It constantly moves forwards. We're always looking for new ways of doing things, to make the world better, to make the world safer, to make the world healthier. I don't think these things can be covered in a list of white male innovators, white male inventors. I think it's more visceral than that. So human beings like to see ourselves as some sort of hierarchical creature in the ecosystems that we live and work in. And I would also challenge that. Because I had a moment that I'm going to talk to you about, which may involve some interpretive dance, where I found a really good example of an innovator. This innovator was a hermit crab. Stay with me. So my husband took me on holiday to the Cook Islands. It was my aunt's 60th birthday, and he took me on a day trip up to this beautiful place called Aitutaki. Now, if you've never been to the Cook Islands, you have to go to the Cook Islands. Put it on the bucket list. It's absolutely amazing. You have to normally go via Auckland, and New Zealand is another beautiful place. I don't get any sponsorship from any tourism, by the way. But Aitutaki Lagoon has to be heaven on earth for me. And we took a boat trip around this lagoon, and we went to beaches and to places that not many people go. And I made a new friend. And this is my new friend, Hermie. Hermie the hermit crab. Now, Hermie for me was one of the best examples of innovation that I've actually seen in a very long time. So I was at that point working in a corporate company, trying to get some change across how we were working our environmental monitoring programs by introducing new technologies like drones, satellite imagery, things that float around, remote sensing, all these kinds of stuff. And I was really hitting the brick wall. I was hitting the brick wall of the inertia of change. People did not want to change. I wasn't succeeding. My projects were fantastic, but I wasn't succeeding in surviving through to finalisation and promotion and all these things that come with a corporate lifestyle. And Hermie showed me why. So, as this little hermit crab was crawling up the beach, there were 3 stages to how he or she was trying to get to safety under the palm fronds, where all the other hermit crabs were having a little hermit crab party. And one thing I noticed about this hermit crab was that it carried itself in a different way, depending on where it was on that beach. Now, if you think about it, hermit crabs, you're soft on the inside, like all of us innovators are. Anybody who has a new idea, we feel very vulnerable. You know, if you want to put your idea out there, you're at risk of getting tall poppy syndrome, or people having a go at you about something that you might be wanting to achieve, right? So we feel very soft and vulnerable. But hermit crabs choose the shell that they carry. I was like, You could live in a coconut, you could live in a soft drink can, you could live in a beautiful shell. You can choose and change how you live and work to protect your vulnerability. So here comes I, obviously of British birth, and whenever I see things in nature, I tend to do this terrible thing of becoming a really bad David Attenborough impersonator. So I'm like, this poor hermit crab looks up at this 6-foot blonde going, oh, and there is the hermit crab escaping the great waters. Oh, and it's looking at its friends. Anyways, this thing suffered me for about 5 minutes, but I class this as a bit of a bliss moment. So, you have an idea. You're trying to get out of the waves that keep just trying to pull you back to the traditional work method, back to the traditional KPIs or key performance indicators that modern business works by, profit and loss, right? Money. You keep getting dragged back. So what does the hermit crab do? It carries its weight on its front. By carrying its weight on its front, when the waves try to pull it back, it's got some resistance in front of it. If it was carrying its shell behind it, it would be getting dragged back into the water. I was like, Hermie, you're a bit clever. You're very small, but you're brighter than some people I've worked with. Halfway up the beach. Now, when you've got a hermit crab on open sand, they have to be pretty sharp about what's around them, because there's going to be birds coming down to try and swoop it. There's going to be things that are going to come and try and eat it. And so what does Hermie do? Carries the shell over its head. Now, why would you carry your shell over your head? Well, if something's going to come down and try and take you, the nifty thing about hermit crabs is they can let go of that shell at any time. So you've got a second chance to leg it back into the water to find a new shell. Some of the work I was doing, I forgot to cover myself. I still had my idea in front of me, and people came along and cut my ideas, because I didn't allow myself to be protected and release those ideas when they weren't going to work and go back into the water and find a new shell. So, Hermie's halfway up the beach. I'm obviously in raptures, channeling David Attenborough. Oh, look at Hermie with his shell out there, fantastic. Palm fronds, oh, hermit crabs. Yes, I was quite stressed, okay, so it was a bit of a release moment, all right? So I got up to the area of the beach where the palm fronds were on the grass, and all these other hermit crabs were there, and I'm like, come on, Hermie, you can make it, you can make it, you can make it. So Hermie's gone from carrying it in front, gone to having it over its head like a ballet lesson. And what does it do when it sees all it mates? Wears its shell like a backpack, because then it's like, ha! I'm here, who's going to have fun? Who wants to talk to me? So from this I learned that there are different stages that you need to go through when you have an idea to make sure that you can survive to that next level. You can't behave as you're trying to get out of the water. It's the way you behave when you get to the palm fronds. There are different things that you have to do. So, I try to distill this down into 3 stages to try and talk to people about how to become a better innovator, because I think we're all innovators. We've all got it in us. It's in your DNA. So I'm from Warwickshire, in the centre of England, and Shakespeare was born quite close to where I was born. And so I say to thy own self be true. Okay? Know thyself. If you know who you are, what you believe in, what you're passionate about, and these things do evolve and change over your life as you change your shells, as you choose to live in a coconut, or as you choose to live in a soft drink can. I don't know if that sounds that healthy. Create your own environment. Now this one's a little bit tricky, and I'll go into this in a few more details in a moment. But number 3, and I think this is probably the most important one, is to work the ecosystem. Whenever you've got an idea, you can never do it on your own. You always need people to believe in you, support you, challenge you, take you with them on their journey, and for you to take them with you on yours. No person is an island. So, how to know thyself? You all have something that's completely unique to who you are. Coco Chanel once said, in order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different. And the only way that you can actually truly be different is to be the thing that no one else can ever be, and that is you. So don't ever try and fit in. Don't ever try and be the same as other people. Don't ever try and change who you are, because that is your superpower. So if you had, say, a group of like 10 or 12 good mates or family or friends, and they were to write a note and say, Catherine is really good at, ta-da! That would be my superpower. So okay, you're in a business environment now, it's a few years down the track, you've gone through university, you're going to get hired, or you're going to be working on the basis of your superpowers. Now, your superpowers can change and evolve over time, and that's fine, but you must always recognise them, because they are the things that make you unique. Now, if anyone can tell me who this woman is, I'll be very, very happy. This woman and I have something in common. So my superpower has been said that I'm incredibly good at using drones or remotely piloted aircraft for humanitarian projects, environmental monitoring projects, and also for infrastructure assessments. Australia is #1 in the world for the use and applications of RPAS, remotely piloted aircraft systems, for non-military purposes. And it's one of the reasons why I've been winning some of the awards and my team have been winning some of the awards that we've been winning. This is Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was a drone engineer. What she's putting together is a radio plane. So radio planes were used as target aircraft during World War II for the American fighters to practice on before they headed over to Europe to take part in D-Day. Marilyn Monroe and I have drones in common. Now, who walking in this room thought that that would be a sentence that would come out of anyone's mouth? Quite frankly. Other than the hair colour, I thought, you know. But the thing is, your superpowers can come and be exposed at any point in your life. This was her first photo shoot, and it was done for the US military for a magazine. So this was when she was discovered. She was an incredibly intelligent woman. She was not allowed to be the intelligent woman that she was because of the time that she lived in. She had to be the pretty Hollywood comedy actress because that was what society accepted of her. Could she have even got onto an aerospace engineering degree at MIT in the 40s and 50s? Highly, highly unlikely. So thank you, Marilyn. Now, the next stage. Know thyself, you've got that done, you've got that sorted, you figured out who you are, you're going to travel a bit, find new things about yourself. The next stage is then to create the people that you work with. Now this is King Arthur. And King Arthur and the Arthurian legend has passed on for the last 1500 years. So 587 AD was when Arthur, there's a lot of myth around him, was in charge of England. And the English were very scared that the Saxons were going to come in and invade. So he had a really big problem. He'd managed to pull Excalibur out of stone, he'd managed to get a pretty nice partner in life, Guinevere. He was friends with a lady that lived in a lake, and his best mate was a magician called Merlin. He had it going pretty well, actually. I'd say that was quite a cool life to have, right? But the problem that he had is that these barons that he was having to work with were all ego. They wanted to work with him, but they wanted to be the most important one. So how do you get a bunch of very important, very high-powered military types to sit and actually agree anything? So they were arguing with each other and saying, well, I'll work with you, Arthur, but I'm not sitting underneath that person. Or I'll work with you, but I want to be your right-hand man. So Arthur said, well, look, let's just not do it like this. To think outside the square, sometimes you have to think around the table. And in fact, out of all of the things that have come from Arthurian legend, the round table is something that still exists in modern business language now. We have round tables. We round table ideas. We go to a round table. Sometimes we physically sit around a round table. The UN in New York is a round table, and it started, a long, long time ago. So, you know your superpower. What you need to do is look around that table and make sure that everyone around that table has a different superpower. Now, this is diversity, age, gender, background, education. Whenever I do technical innovation, I always want arts people around that table. So, Steve Jobs said, it's where the humanities cross with the technological, is where we find the things that make our hearts sing. Okay? So if you're wanting to get your idea through, for a startup, for a company, for a new way of working, for trying to figure out the cure to a disease, for trying to figure out how to protect a coral reef, you need as much diversity around that table as you possibly can to really load yourself with success. And something I've said before and something I'll say again, diversity and innovation are two sides of the same coin, and that is success of an idea. And you know what, sometimes people forget, some of the most inspiring people I put around my table are people who are already retired, or people who haven't yet finished university. So you need to have a balance of ingenuity, questioning, and a new set of thinking, as well as old school, serious, take it apart, put it back together, engineering. Now, if anyone can name who this one is, I'll be even more impressed. But this is a lady called Mahalia Jackson. Now, when you're out and doing things, and you've got your round table, and you've got your mates, and you've got people that will disagree with you, and people that are slightly different from you, and people that will support you till the sun goes down, from the sun go up, right? This woman was very, very good friends with Martin Luther King Jr. Now, Martin Luther King, you'll all know, did a very, very, very important speech on the 28th of August, 1963, on the March at Washington, which was 100 years after Abraham Lincoln had done his emancipation speech. Now, if you go to YouTube and you watch this speech, it doesn't start with the words, "I have a dream." Martin Luther King never wrote those down in his speech. Sometimes you need people around you that will call you to your best inspiration when you do something, right? Mahalia Jackson was his favourite gospel singer. She obviously had a great power of her voice, because 3 or 4 times during that speech, she shouted out, "Tell him about the dream, Martin." Now, he had in previous speeches talked about the American dream and the dreams that he had for the future, but he had never, ever, ever done "I have a dream" the way he did it on the 28th of August 1963 in Washington, D.C. So if you go and watch the full 17-minute speech, about the length of a TED talk, if you go and watch the full 17-minute speech, 11 minutes in, he goes off script. And when he goes off script, it takes my breath away. "I have a dream." It was voted the #1 speech in the 20th century, and quite frankly, Barack Obama's done some good speeches since, but nothing cuts the mustard when it comes to Martin Luther King Jr. Mahalia Jackson, she's the reason he went off script. She was the person calling out from the crowd, reminding him of the visceral reasons, the superpower that he had as to why he was doing what he was doing and why he was talking how he was talking. Okay, so you've got your hermit crab shell, you've got your superpower identified, you've got your round table and all your crew that you need around you. The next thing you need is to recognise that you're actually in a bigger picture here. So the ecosystem of innovation means you have to be very mindful that to actually come up with a new idea that no one has ever thought of before is pretty much impossible. As John Lennon said, there's nothing you can do that can't be done. So it's important when you go to do a value proposition, there's 4 things that you need to identify. There's a wonderful guy called Kurt Carlson, has written a book called Innovation, and he outlines this in one of his chapters, and I was lucky enough to meet him recently, and I got a bit of a personal download, but if you were to remember anything about how to sell your idea to anyone, it's NABC, need. What is the need? Okay, the need. I need to go and monitor the reef, but I need to have things that will fly where people can't reach in regular planes. I need to have people that are working 24/7 off boats. I need to be able to collect data that's actually going to give me ecological information. Need. Approach. Approach. We have long-range reconnaissance aircraft that's built in Australia for surveillance purposes, and they started off as a non-military company, so all of their equipment is non-militarised. They're just cameras looking for fish in the Great Australian Bight 15 years ago, or going down to Antarctica looking at the winds that are starting down there. Can I use those cameras to look for coral bleaching, turtle tracks? Yes, I can. Okay, unmanned systems, remotely piloted aircraft systems. Then B, the benefits and the costs. So B, the benefits. Well, we're flying without putting humans in the air, so the health and safety is great. Costs about equivalent, maybe slightly more expensive, but you balance it out. Competition. Competition in the ecosystem is the one thing you need to watch when you've got a new idea. Because people will take you out for a coffee and have a nice little chat about what you're doing, and then you'll see it on the news 3 months later, and you go, hang on a second, guys, that was my idea. Your shell was in the wrong place, sweetie. They were coming down to swoop it, and you were already open arms, okay? You were doing the wrong stage of the hermit crab. So the ecosystem of innovation can be as supportive and as competitive as you allow it to be. And in a decreasing economy where there's less money to go around, companies waste a lot of money preparing bids. So applying for money or asking for money can take a lot of time and money. So one way that you can immediately halve the competition is to work with them in a collaborative sense. So now in terms of business, it's going to be more about individuals collegiates, collaboratives, putting together good ideas. But what does that mean for you? One of the things that I've always appreciated and respected in my professional career, not just the mentors that help you out, but it's the sponsors that lift you up. So there's a big difference between mentors and sponsors, and it's really important that during your career you have a couple of absolutely amazing sponsors. Okay, so mentors are people that will show you where you've gone wrong, provide you some advice, meet you for a coffee, have a nice chat. And that can be incredibly constructive. But the people that changed my career path, the people that lifted me up when I was being attacked with my, I don't know where to put my shells, someone come and help me, they were my sponsors. They believed in me, they saw something in me and my ideas, and they gave me the key to unlock the doors for myself. So be a key maker. Let keys be made for you. If you are constantly just being provided with open doors that are really easy for you to step through, you will never appreciate the effort it takes to make a key. So be a key maker. When someone has an idea, say, I'd like to be around your round table, King Arthur. Say, I'm up here in the palm fronds, dude, put your shell over your head. You know, so be the key maker, and those opportunities will just open up in front of you. But you need to learn to share, and you need to learn to collaborate. The number of Nobel Prize winners now that are actually teams, there's a really interesting graph on the internet. So all the Nobel Prizes, like 100 years ago or so, were always individuals, or maybe 2 people. Now they're like teams of like 10. And in fact, the only female Australian Nobel laureate lives in California, and she was part of a team of 4 people when they won their Nobel Prize. So innovation takes place in an ecosystem. This is not something that you can do on your own. And quite frankly, it's a lot more fun when you've got the right sort of hermit crabs for company. Thank you so much.